We were all once children, weren't we? Whether you have children or not, or have contact with children every day, you know exactly what children are like. We see them in the movies, we see them on the streets, we see them in the malls, we see them everywhere. They could be a lot of fun, and they could be really difficult. But if we take them in the right way, it is always so much fun. We all know that children like to play. This episode is all about playing with our own inner child. Now put up your feet, relax, and enjoy this episode of Pleasure Podcast. This is Claudia Monacelli. Enjoy.
Seeking, yeah, what really sets you free. Pleasure seeking, what's your meaning of ecstasy? Pleasure seeking, cannot help it, I need to feel. This pleasure seeking is for real. Shall we do it all night? Yeah, just go for your life. To feel your own mind.
Our adult world usually drowns all of this out. We really lose our orientation in terms of crying out for help and using our laughter to signal happiness, and we forget how intuitive we really could be. Well, let's see if we can understand where we stand in terms of our inner child. First of all, we do have more or less three selves. I believe that there's a parent self that sets out the rules and regulations for us. Then there's the child self who feels and reacts to things, and our adult self that makes the decisions. So let me explain a little bit by giving you examples. I have a coaching practice, and usually clients come to me when they feel stuck. This is a common term that I heard, I just feel stuck, Claudia, I feel stuck. Dr. Monacelli, I feel stuck. Now, usually it has to do with not just a romantic life or their personal life or their work life. Usually it's everything. When one area becomes stuck, every area becomes stuck. I use a technique called voice dialogue, which is really, really helpful for the moments like these. And what do we need? Well, we need a spiral notebook, something that will open on a table and lay flat, and two different pens. One for your dominant hand, the hand that you usually write with and you usually do things with, and another pen for a non-dominant hand. So when we do these types of dialogue, the dominant hand and pen will write down things that the adult is thinking and saying. And the child, the inner child, will use the non-dominant hand to write things that it feels and wants to say. And as you can imagine, working with a non-dominant hand will be very scribbly, will be out of the lines, will be slow. So this has to be borne in mind. But it really is a process that reawakens our senses and our inner child. Let me give you a few examples. One of my clients, Anne, came to me. She's a corporate analyst. And here too, she said, Dr. Monacelli, I'm stuck. I feel stuck. And I let her speak, and she talks about this wonderful guy she has been having a relationship with for the last 2 years. And then her new clients, these two huge clients, she said, that she just took on in the last 2 months. and how she met these two clients through a mutual friend at a dinner party. It was very casual, and it was very, very not something that she expected to do. Likewise, she met her companion, Michael, in the same way through friends of friends of friends. So she had that network, that sisterhood network that we spoke of in a past episode of this podcast. So let's talk about how her inner dialogue went. Well, I'm giving you an abstract of her inner dialogue. And Anne begins. This time, in this client, her adult voice came out first. And then the child spoke. So Anne began by writing, "Why are you here?" The child, "I'm tired." "Then sleep." "No, silly. I'm tired of doing the same old things." "You mean with work?" "No, all you do is go along with whatever Michael says and wants to do. You always do what he wants. And you always give your clients the same old song. You need to do this, you need to do that. It's always the same old thing." Now, that was just a brief extract. She had gone on for another 10 minutes and then stopped because the resounding message became very clear to her. She was shocked. She shocked herself that, first of all, she initiated the voice dialogue. Why are you here? Because she didn't really understand where it was going to go and how it was going to work for her. And to tell you the truth, Anne had difficulty in incorporating what she learned from this brief voice dialogue exercise. But she knew exactly what she wanted, what she had to do. You remember the novel and the movie, The Prince and the Pauper. Essentially, even if you don't know about it, The Prince and the Pauper are two twins and that had been separated at birth, and one went on to become a prince, and the other was a pauper, living off of the streets. By accident, they met one day, and they saw how very similar they were, and they decided to change lives. So they changed their clothes, and you can imagine how difficult it was for the pauper to act like the prince. He was totally out of his domain. And likewise, the prince in the pauper's shoes didn't know how to fend for himself on the street. But slowly, afterwards, they started to get used to it. And just like Anne did, Anne couldn't help her clients in a different way. She couldn't propose radically different things because she had entered a contract with them. So she remained faithful to that and true to those contracts. But she added 2 new elements that she wanted to test for her future contracts. And that was like a game for her. And she started to right away enjoy things. And as for poor Michael and her relationship, she started getting into the driver's seat and taking command, a more active role. She started by suggesting short, adventuresome vacations, things that they had never done before. And then even other easier things like suggesting more exotic foods, going to different restaurants that they had never been to. And things started really looking differently. And Michael too reacted towards her in a different way. Now this was Anne, but let me give you another client as an example, completely different person, which is Natalie. Now, Natalie's a fashion designer. She had been recently promoted. She was top-notch in her field, really top-notch, and it was by no chance that she had been promoted. But here too, Natalie came to me and said, "Claudia, I feel stuck. I feel stuck." And where was she stuck? She was stuck in her relationships. She had a maximum turnaround of 3 months. Every relationship lasted tops 3 months. And it was always the same MO, the same modus operandi. There was initial excitement, then complete boredom, either for her or for the newly found companion. He had wanted more, or she had wanted more quality time and not quantity time. As to her work, she here too said, I'm stuck. I feel like I'm not getting anywhere or producing anything new, despite her recent success. So I'm going to let you hear part of a voice dialogue that she did with me when she was in a session with me. And this time it was the child who initiated the voice dialogue. She was a right-handed individual, so her child wrote with her left hand and a pen, and it was very slow. She admitted to me it was very difficult and very slow, and she spent a lot of time on it. But what did the child start with? I hate you. What did I do? We never color outside of the lines. What do you mean? I don't use coloring books. Of course you do. Of course you do. Those drawings all look alike, especially the last 3. Go look at them again. But you said color outside the lines. My drawings don't have colors. This is what I mean. We have colored pencils at home. Come on, we can draw with them, and then the rest will be really, really easy and fun. Come on. Okay, I can try, but I'm not so sure it will work. I like using charcoal pencils for my drawings. But they're so dark, and everything starts out so dark. Okay, I add colors later. But if you start with colors, come on, you can then add charcoal after that. Can we make a puzzle? Can we make a puzzle pretty, please, and put the pieces where we want, please? So as you can understand, the child wanted to do something different. The child wanted to go in many different directions. Now, the results after this for Natalie was that her work started, and she was able, more than Anne was, to incorporate what emerged much more easily than Natalie did. What happened? She started using and working with splashes of color, different colors, varied colors that she had never worked before. She was a designer that used to work with all different shades of gray, down-toning, making an understatement. But instead, she started playing with geometric designs. And as to her romance, she, too, thought it was time for a bit of adventure and incorporated adventure into her short-term relationships. And if the newly found companion wasn't for it, they would have never made it past 1 week. And after 3 months' time, Natalie began to have a longer-term relationship, which was truly a miracle, both for myself and for Natalie herself. So, are you stuck? What did you used to do as a child? Come on, let's try and play with our inner child. Take pen to paper, 2 pens to paper, and let's start having that inner child voice dialogue. You will be amazed. See you in the next episode. Bye-bye.